All right, welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Today on the show, Washington, D.C. has gone 7 full days without a homicide, which is even more evidence that Trump federalizing D.C. was obviously the correct choice and the correct move there. Also, President Trump is victorious over Letitia James as the close to $500,000 judgment he was ordered to pay has been thrown out by a New York court. Also, teenagers from Virginia, a Virginia high school, have been suspended because they vocalized their disgust when a biological female claiming to be a man filmed them in their locker room. And then where we're going to start today is Cracker Barrel. Their stock price took a dive because a white, likely liberal CEO took the cracker out of the company's logo. Anyway, say all that to say the Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I hate it when that happens. We had some streaming difficulties, but the good news is we're here. I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Spencer. Rob, it's always great to have you, sir.
Paul, it is an honor to be here, as always, talking about all things. We've got, we're two crackers here talking about the Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
like
what do we know, right? What do we know? Well, we know a thing or two about being a cracker, apparently. So, anyway.
We're experts.
We are experts in this. You know what? Allegedly, I've been one of these all my life. So, I don't know. But I can tell you this, that she's taking some heat. Cracker Barrel is taking a plunge. And this stuff happens. Now, will it be a prolonged plunge? Is it just an initial reaction? Or is this going to be some sort of long-term thing where this CEO ends up getting fired for this? Now, I don't know.
Is it a Bud Light situation?
Is it a Bud Light situation where that marketing person, when she came out with her video, or it was like there was a video that came out, that woman was a crazy leftist. Right, for Bud Light. We 100% knew. She's like, we need to rebrand this so that it's not what did she call it? Like
it was
a fraternity.
And it was the trans thing.
Yes.
I mean, they literally had a trans person on the can of the beer.
Right, but they're trying to rebrand this so that it wasn't like, frat guys and factory workers and, dudes getting off work on a Friday after working a long, hard week and grabbing a Bud Light, grabbing a 6-pack of Bud Light on the way home and sitting there and just relaxing from the week. She was trying to get away from that. Well, those people made you the number one seller of beer in the United States, and they were overtaken by Modelo. And there was a lot of leftists who was like, well, great job. You've boycotted Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch owns Modelo. And you're just like, not in the United States, they don't. They own it outside of the United States, but inside the United States, they don't. And so it became the number one beer brand. I haven't looked at it recently. I have no idea.
I don't either.
But regardless, it was bad. We saw what Target did, right, when they had the tuck, bathing suits and stuff for like a 7-year-old boy, being able to tuck his, and you're just like, what are you doing?
I know.
What are you doing?
It just kind of shows you, though, that the whole idea that wokeism is dead is quite not there yet. And as a matter of fact, Robbie, I'm sorry, I always call him Robbie, but he's Robbie Starbuck.
Robbie,
this guy was instrumental in exposing the DEI that had infiltrated places like Tractor Supply and other companies that clearly have right-leaning customers, right?
Right.
He just made a post a little while ago. He says, you are not going to believe what I have on Cracker Barrel. He was like, I've got videos, I've got photos. Basically, he says DEI has totally infiltrated Cracker Barrel. Now, this is just anecdotal evidence, but I had a meeting this morning at Cracker Barrel, and I just thought, it was scheduled before this story dropped, right?
Sure.
But I had a business meeting this morning at Cracker Barrel, and it was at 7:15 in the morning, so it's just anecdotal. But we were the only ones in the restaurant at 7:15, and afterwards I started thinking. After I saw that the stock price went down 7% today, I thought.
I saw as many as 12%.
I think as of recording,
it may have bounced back before.
Let's see what it is right now. 7.15%.
Yeah, down 7%. So at one point, I guess it had dropped to, if you look at where it was at noon today.
Yeah, let me throw this up here.
It was so, regardless, it was like you got some people, some people like Cracker Barrel are like, oh, dadgummit, we pissed off the conservatives.
Yeah, I mean, somebody was saying like, have these people ever has the CEO does she ever made a biscuit in her life?
Yeah,
I said yesterday when she was growing up, did she know what Uncle Herschel's favorite is? You're right. I mean, I think that's the disconnect here.
I don't think that she's going. I don't think she's going to the store of the she's CEO of this place. She's probably walking in there with great disgust.
Yeah,
and being like, "Look at this. This is the white patriarchy."
It's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not just the logo they're changing. It's like in some cases the remodels
they're totally rebranding the inside of the store.
It looks so clean. Somebody said
it looks like a diner.
Yeah, somebody said it's like if Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter movies had taken over. That's what the new Cracker Barrel interior looks like.
But I know it kind of looked like to me like a diner as opposed to a a back porch at Grandpa's house, which is what the Cracker, like if you're watching this nationwide here and you are watching us on X America News streaming 4 to 5 Central every day, if you are watching us and you don't know what Cracker Barrel is, it is a huge thing here in the South. Like, we love our Cracker Barrels, right? Like, that's fancy breakfast for us, right? Because you go there and it's got this long menu and all that stuff. You don't just go there for a quick, sausage McMuffin, you're getting at McDonald's. You're going there you're taking your whole family, all that stuff. And they've got great lunch as well. It's not just breakfast, right? And so anyway, Cracker Barrel is a nice Southern style restaurant, right? It's very... It's like it's frozen in time in the 1950s, and we love it. And if you're going to rebrand that, I can't imagine that is going to be a popular thing, because when you go to Cracker Barrel, it's because you like that ambiance. My 6-year-old...
You ever been to a Cracker Barrel like when it's below freezing outside and they've got the oak fire going? Actually roar like a real fire.
It's incredible. Yeah. And my 6-year-old loves Cracker Barrel, so she has some health problems and she has to go to Memphis all the time, and she wants to go to Cracker Barrel there in West Memphis. We have one here in Jonesboro, but there's also one in West Memphis, and she always wants to go to that Cracker Barrel because you walk in there and there's all these little toys. She always comes home with a toy, something like, she loves it, man. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be very long, Paul, in my opinion, where they're going to start changing that store out there. And they're going to have like a pride flag out there.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. I've got a funny Cracker Barrel story. It's a friend of mine. This was back when I was working at a radio station. She had a long weekend going down to Atlanta, with family, right? And they were all in one car, and so they get ready to come home. It's Sunday, and she's like, "I want to get home." It's, I don't know, what's Atlanta from here, like 7 hours or something like that, 5, 6 hours
somewhere around.
Anyway, she's like, "I'm ready to get home," but before they do, like, they leave the hotel there where they're staying in the Atlanta area, and they pull into a Cracker Barrel. She's like, "Okay, all right, we'll have a little breakfast or whatever." And anyway, then they get on the road and they drive 3.5 hours, and the person driving pulls into another Cracker Barrel, and she's like, "What is going on?"
We've had breakfast and lunch at this place.
Yeah, she was like, "I'm pretty, it'll make you sick if you have too much of it."
Like, you're just like anything. Out. Yeah. So I mean,
but that's what some people do, though. I mean, I've never heard of it until that story, but I mean, I've never known anyone personally to do that. But that's
I would be willing to wager that the average age of a patron of Cracker Barrel is in the 60s, right? Yeah. I mean, this is where some older folks are going to go, and if it's older folks in the South, they're not where this CEO is.
Yeah, of course not. I mean,
they're not.
So one of the restaurants trying to take advantage of this, Rob, is Steak and Shake. Obviously, they got famous in the Maha movement when they switched to frying their fries in beef tallow. Now, their fries are better. I have had them, but they're not completely in beef tallow. I mean, they are fried in beef tallow there, but they're pre-fried in seed oil. So they're not cutting their own potatoes yet at Steak and Shake. Now, they should. But
it'll get there.
But the tallow is obviously much better for you. Anyway, Steak and Shake. Sometimes people want to change things just to put their own personality on things. At Cracker Barrel, their goal is to just delete the personality altogether. Hence, the elimination of the old timer from the signage heritage. Heritage is what got Cracker Barrel this far, and now the CEO wants to just scrape it all away. At Steak and Shake, we take pride in our history, our families, and American values. All are welcome. We will never market ourselves away from our past in a cheap effort to gain the approval of trend seekers.
Wow.
So
I don't. They weren't pulling any punches there. I mean,
no.
You know, a lot of times
an aggressive marketing strategy.
Yeah, a lot of times the marketing will be like a subtle jab. Mm-hmm. That's a straight jab.
Yeah. They also said this earlier. This is what happens when you have a board that does not respect their historical customers or their brand. At Steak and Shake, we have gone back to basics. Our tallow fries are waiting for you. Oh yeah, you can also pay now with Bitcoin.
Hey, there you go. Now you're getting progressive.
So that's the kind of maybe technological revolutions are better than pretending like we've got these evolved sensibilities and again taking the white guy off of the logo.
Okay, bottom line here, because we may have some liberal in our comments here, because a lot of our comments are from liberals. They don't like us.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't imagine why.
Paul,
they wouldn't like
we're
us.
not very nice to them, I guess. But here's the. I'm so sorry. If you've got a brand that is built on something, okay. First of all, sorry, she looks like the typical white liberal lady.
Yep, get her in the right circumstance, and she would, call the police because you're, I don't know,
how dare you?
You're fishing in some pond that she doesn't even have any jurisdiction over, but it's a pond and you shouldn't be fishing. What are you doing?
Maybe I'm wrong about her. Maybe she voted for Trump. Paul, do you think there's any chance that woman voted for?
No, let's just take a lesson. Let's keep judging a book by its cover.
There we go.
Here.
Let's do it.
Okay. Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So because the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only from our customers, but from our team members. They want to work in a wonderful restaurant. So we're doing everything for our guests and our team members.
Well, Julie Messino, it's wonderful to have you here.
Pleasure to be here.
No, you're not. You're doing it because of your personal ideology.
Not down here, lady.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't change the name to ethnically diverse barrel.
Yeah, that's right.
Something, I don't know.
Well, we could go many different directions with that. Yeah.
Well, but honestly, when your personal ideology, when you're just looking at it and saying, okay, who are our shoppers, who are our patrons, who are our customers, who are they?
I mean, part of the fun, I don't know if they're getting rid of the store either, but part of the fun, if you got a long wait, I mean, I'm going to look around at all this.
It doesn't feel
stuff,
right.
I mean, I don't buy anything. I mean, but
if you go to a restaurant and they tell you it's a 30-minute wait, you're just sitting there scrolling through your phone for 30 minutes trying to keep your kids from losing their minds, versus Cracker Barrel where it's like you're 30 minutes flies by because there's so much to look at that store. And if you're going to totally rebrand that and do this remodel and all of that stuff, I just don't think this is going to end well. And I think that woman's going to be out of a job soon. Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Well, you very easily could be right. We'll see. I mean, I will say if that actually happens with something just from a logo rebrand where they take the white guy out, that is magnitudes more we are magnitudes more sensitive than we were with the Bud Light thing. I mean, the Bud Light thing, they had a man dressed up like a woman on a can,
and they sent her a commemorative
exactly.
Can
So
celebrating
and it was outrageous, and people are like, "We're done with this." But so. If the Overton window has moved to the point now where it's we know who you are, even doing this small thing that you can try to say is just some sort of corporate rebrand, we know you're actually attacking America by doing this. It's not just the social issue of how everything's trans now. This is if she actually were to have to step down because of this, which I don't think she would, but it would signal the culture, a big shift in the culture war because it's just a logo change at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty significant logo change,
Yeah.
you know. And I would argue too that the removal of these black iconic figures from, say, Uncle Ben Rice, you know, and then Aunt Jemima, you know, syrup and stuff, and it was like, okay, wait a minute. So you're trying to say that it's better for a you know, 7-year-old black boy to go to the grocery store and see no one who looks like him on this stuff. Yeah. Like you're saying, let's eliminate these because of their history from 100 years ago. And that the Aunt Jemima, at one point, the logo was a white woman with blackface on. Okay, it wasn't now, and it wasn't when they eliminated it, but at one point it was a long time ago, and you're just like, okay, does that 7-year-old boy know that? He's walking through the grocery store, and he's probably more like, if you're getting some rice, he might want that Uncle Ben rice because there's actually somebody that looks like him on the cover of that.
Yeah, no, you got a good point.
Right?
Yeah,
and
I never thought of it like that.
You've got Mrs. Buttersworth. And then
they took the Indian off of Indian Lakes.
Land of Lakes.
Yeah, no more Indian.
Like get rid of all of these people of color, because that's going to make things better. And here's what I'm just trying to say. It's the same damn people that are standing on the street corners in Washington, D.C., protesting against Trump enforcing, you know, with the military here, with the National Guard, enforcing that and creating safer streets. It's all white liberals.
I know.
Old white liberals.
No, you're right.
You people need to go your asses home. Excuse my language. Go home, okay? Quit standing on a street corner protesting in the name of black people. Meanwhile, who are the most likely victims of violence? And it is black people.
Yeah, the people that live in Washington, D.C.
The people that are living there. And we've seen countless videos where they're like, will y'all shut up? We're happy.
Yeah, we covered it yesterday. Several.
Yeah. And we're about to go over all of this stuff. It's the same people. Those are the ones who are removing Uncle Ben, Aunt Jemima, Land O'Lakes, and Cracker Barrel. Get rid of all of this.
Over the tapestry of this political movement is really just a religious movement where, I mean, it doesn't, you know, what you said there about a kid walking down the aisle, he doesn't have any of that context, but no, this is about a dogma. Yeah. This is about orthodoxy, and if you step out of line, and so there is no rhyme or reason to it because it's pagan, honestly. But here it is. Stunning. D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. That's the first headline. This is somebody named MJ Truth. Her first headline I woke up to this morning. How sad is that? So, yeah, that basically means that our nation's capital, just reinforces what we already know, our nation's capital has essentially been a murderous war zone for decades. And finally somebody's doing something about it. And I've also seen videos of the National Guard actually interacting with young people who are not thugs and who are not criminals. Yeah.
Well, they're trying so hard, Paul. I've seen so many videos recently in the last couple of days talking about that. You know, they're just like, oh, well, he needs to send these to Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, all of that, because they're talking about states.
Right.
And we've talked about this, and it's like crime is not a statewide problem. It is a city-wide problem.
I mean, honestly, if you took our state, you take our capital of Little Rock here in Arkansas. I mean, if they wanted to do that in Little Rock and go to the places where it's unsafe.
Sure. I have no problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it.
And but just think about this: if you lived in, we're going to talk about Arkansas. If you lived in Little Rock and you were worried about the crime, what is your solution? To leave the state of Arkansas, or just to leave Little Rock?
Right.
Right. The answer is leave Little Rock. If you live in Memphis, Tennessee, and you're worried about the crime, and you're like, what should I do? I've got to get out of the state of Tennessee. No, you got to get out of Memphis.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay?
And you go up to,
So, hey, stupid liberal creators talking about the states, because that's all you've got. Like, oh, it's all about the crime. And they want to bring up Birmingham, Alabama. These are all Democrat-run cities. They have Democrats in charge, Democrat mayors, Democrat police chiefs, all of the worst crime cities. I would be willing to wager it's just about all of the top 10, if it's not all. Are Democrat mayors, Democrat police chiefs. They may be in conservative states, but that governor does not control, the governor of Tennessee does not control the crime in Memphis, Tennessee. That is the mayor, and that is the police chief.
So, I mean, there's an opportunity. I mean, this is what we've been saying. People have been saying this forever. Rush said this for years and years, and highlighted the Democrat rule of the cities. And you can, chart their decline with each, generation that continues to elect the Democrats. And so, I mean, if Trump wants to do this in Chicago and New York, which he said he might, already squash the riots in Los Angeles, what's that going to do potentially? I mean, will you see people like we've seen in D.C., these black Americans in D.C. that are saying, I can't believe it. I can walk down the street and I'm not having to fear for my safety. If you implemented a policy like that in Chicago, if you implemented that in Detroit, or you implemented that, in New York City, what would the response be? I'm just curious in terms of, would people realize that the people they've been electing could have done this all along? Yeah. They could have done this. Which
goes to show
they chose not to because of politics, because they don't want a certain demographic or their political ideology of how they view race as being challenged. They don't want that to be challenged.
So what do liberals do when they get ticked off, when they get in power, whatever? They cut funding for police. What has Trump proven in the last 7 days? He's proven that more police, more of a law enforcement presence on the street deters crime. So if you're looking for a playbook, if you want to lower crime, hey, Gavin Newsom, if you want to lower crime in the state of California so that you can possibly, we all know he's running for president in a few years. If you want your state to look better, you might want to allocate some funds and hire more police officers. Yeah. Because that's what's going to happen.
But then it also comes down to the prosecutor. I mean, you think about in California when they had a lot of those pride parades where the cops were outside of the city or of the parade event. They were outside of it. The people in there were fully breaking decency laws. You had men who were completely naked in front of children, right?
Yeah.
And they had reporters on the right going out to the policemen like, what can you not do something? And they're like, we've been told to stay away. They've been told to stay away because even if they went in there and actually arrested people for that indecency, there'd be no prosecutor in that area that would actually do it. So you have two facets. You've got to have increased law enforcement, but they also have to have the backing of the prosecutor and the higher ups to actually enforce the law and not turn a blind eye. I mean, this is why you have stores moving out of Los Angeles because people just walk in and everything in a Walgreens is behind glass now in those areas because no one's enforcing the law. And the car, what's it called? Not carjacking, but just when cars get vandalized and you get your stuff stolen. I mean, it's been happening now for 10 years over there. And so, there's a real chance to prove these Democrat mayors and Democrat governors that they have no clothes on and everyone's just pretending like they do. And J.D. Vance calling out Gavin Newsom specifically because he's been saying, this is all force and what Trump is doing in D.C. is wrong.
So your pal Gavin Newsom calls this an abuse of power, that this is just a power grab and this is all stunt for show, and that you all are going to roll through other cities. You've heard things about, martial law is going to be declared. Yep. And to that you say?
Well, first of all, how is it a power grab or how is it a stunt when we've already declined murders by 35% in 9 days? How many people are living and breathing today because Donald Trump had the willpower to say, you know what, we're sick of D.C. being a home to lawlessness. We're going to bring some public order back to the nation's capital.
So your pal Gavin Newsom.
So Gavin Newsom has, let's see here. There was a fake tweet that the press office of Gavin Newsom that's been trying to imitate Trump at the news of the Bed Bath & Beyond leaving the state.
Yeah.
Said, F you, bye.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was a fake?
I mean, that's what – I did some research on it, and I believe that was a fake tweet.
It looked like it came from his official
well,
office, but who knows?
I think
right?
all I saw was an actual photo of the tweet, and then that's what got shared around. But when I just did some. I mean, maybe it could have been a left-wing site that was lying to me,
Yeah,
but it said,
you never know.
that it was fake. But who knows? I could be wrong about that. It wouldn't surprise me either way, honestly. But you've got Marcus Lemonis, the executive chairman of Bed Bath & Beyond, just announced that he is leaving, no longer operating in California. Quote, California has created one of the most over-regulated, expensive and risky environments for businesses in America. It's a system that makes it harder to employ people, harder to keep the doors open, and harder to deliver value to customers.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, too. Even if you are a business operating in there and you close down and leave, much to the way that X did when he closed down in San Francisco and moved to Austin, Texas, you have to pay a penalty. You have to continue to pay taxes there, and I think it's for something like 10 years. You know, and I'm like, how is that even legal? You can't charge a business because they chose to close down and leave because of your overregulation.
That's just
like
nuts, man.
what you're killing business. And then when they decide, okay, well, we're going to have to move to another state so that it's with friendlier business models, you're like, okay, well, we're just going to charge you for that. We're going to make the money that we would have made while you were here.
All right, so switching gears now to immigration enforcement. This story this video kind of went a little viral about this time yesterday while we were on the air. D.C. police and federal agents detained a man at the National Mall. Now, let's show you the video, and then we'll tell you about the fallout. Talk to him for a little while. Oh, now they got him. He tried to run, though. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't submitting like, hey, I'm innocent. He's like, let me out of here.
Let's see. He's like, oh, I'm going to get in there. No, you're not. All right,
very, very much like any other criminal when they're caught, they're trying to get out of there. Can we talk about, too, that he's in the United States and doesn't speak English?
Yeah, he's speaking in Spanish. He's saying, please, I'm not a criminal. I work here. I want to be with my family. I just want to... I think we need to listen to this. Just keep listening to it just for a little bit longer.
Yo no debo nada. Yo no debo nada. Yo trabajo. Yo quiero estar con mi familia. Yo quiero estar con mi familia. Yo vengo de trabajar.
Yo quiero taco familia.
That's the I want to be with my family. Because I remember Yo Quiero Taco Bell was I want Taco Bell. That's from the dog.
He wants Taco Bell.
You remember that little chihuahua that they had from Taco Bell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
I'm not saying that as a correlation. I'm just saying that's the only way that I know.
That's the only way I ever. Well, that's why I was like, I recognize that phrase.
Yeah. And then familia is family. Okay. So that's I want to be with my family.
So, all right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so traumatic.
Well, every criminal wants to be with their family when they're arrested.
Of course. So here's the thing. This is what happened. Jessica Tarloff, who is of the Five, she's one of the liberals, the token liberals on the Five over on Fox News. She responds to this by saying, "This doesn't make D.C. safer. I'll just make people not come to D.C."
Oh, it doesn't make it safer?
It'll just make people not come to D.C. The cruelty is always the point.
Listen, that's what their goal is, to be cruel. Like they it's not safety. It's not I want to clean up the streets. It's not any of that stuff. It is Trump's only motive is to be cruel.
To be cruel. Yeah.
Shut up.
It's to be cruel.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's what Robert De Niro said too. And but here's the deal. She deleted the tweet. Notice this isn't an active tweet.
Oh, really? Yeah. Why'd you delete it?
She deleted the tweet.
Oh, Jessica.
Yeah.
Did you find out something else?
Yeah.
Did you find something else about him?
Here we go. This was the update. ICE sent a statement on the man's detention saying his name is David Perez Teofani. and that he was arrested in Fairfax County in 2024 and charged with aggravated sexual battery against a minor under 13. He's from Mexico, has a final order of removal. He entered the U.S. illegally 3 times. He was arrested in Fairfax County in 2024, and again, he charged with molesting somebody under 13. Sexual battery under 13.
Yeah.
And so that's why Jessica Tartoff deleted her tweet, because she realized that she had stepped in it. And
what's Fairfax County?
Virginia.
Okay, so very liberal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, because they dropped the charges against him for that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why he's out. There's no other reason why.
Right.
They let the guy go.
Okay, so there needs to be something. Like, if this man is charged with sexually assaulting a child, okay, and then you, being in your liberal lunacy, drop those charges, and then this man is free to go, there needs to be something again. Like, how does a prosecutor get away with that?
I don't know.
Now, I know that it happens. I know that happens on non-illegal immigrants as well, right? We have this person, he's charged with this, and this, and the charges gets dropped, and then he goes, like, he's charged with battering his wife, right? And then his charges are dropped, and he's released, and then he goes and murders his wife.
Right.
That stuff happens. Doesn't matter if you're illegal or not, right?
Right.
But in this instance, you're not supposed to be in this country in the first place. You've already been deported multiple times. You keep coming back.
Yep.
Right? And it's not just any charge. It's not like you were, drunk driving or something. Dude allegedly sexually assaulted a child.
That's right.
Okay? I say allegedly because, he never had his day in court because the charges were dropped.
Yeah. Well, and then, this is her response. I didn't know he was. I didn't know he was. Meaning I didn't know that he was, a sex offender. The DHS memo on him came out hours after the video. Wouldn't ever defend such a person. Hopefully you guys will only go after these types versus hardworking folks. So she still doubles down.
Yeah, it's like...
So, it's just so ridiculous, like, the opportunism here of somebody, look, any illegal that gets deported, obviously they're here, they don't want to leave, but they're just looking for emotional manipulation. They want to tug the heartstrings of people that find this, and a lot of women, honestly, they find this level of law enforcement, horrible because they hear the stories or whatever. And I get there are different scenarios, to your points in the past, Rob, but when it comes down to it, I mean, this is the law. You're not supposed to be here illegally,
sure.
and especially if you're. This was Trump's platform. I mean, this was one of it. Specifically, we're going to start with the violent illegals.
Yeah.
First, so
and I've shared in the past, like, if I've got a friend, and she was brought here when she was I'm not going to give her exact age, but she was very young when she was brought here, and under the age of 7. That's what so I can be non-specific about it. So she was brought here by her parents she is approximately I'll just call her 30s. Okay, again, I know exactly how old she is. I'm just trying to whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so she was brought here. She is married, and her spouse have tried to get her legal.
Right.
As a and they filed all the paperwork and all of this stuff. It's a ridiculous thing. Like, you have to go back to Mexico if that's where you came from, or you go to Colombia or whatever. You go to this other country, and then you stand in front of a judge and you have to plead for forgiveness for being brought here as a child. Okay? Now, it's not your parents that brought you here. You have to plead for forgiveness, and you have to show ties to the community. You have to show why going back to whatever country you came from is bad, would be bad for you, as it would be for her, right? She works at I'll say she just works at a company and pays taxes, and she has tried. So my whole point of it is, she was brought here as a child. She is married. She has kids. She pays taxes. She has tried to make herself legal. It is a broken system. That system needs to be fixed for people like her. not for jerks like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Not for these people. And I saw a news story for someone, a lady had been in the country for 22 years or something like that, didn't speak a lick of English, okay? Had never tried to learn to speak English, missed multiple court dates. She was told to appear before a judge. She just didn't go. And as she said, it's because she was scared. Now, I would say if you are somewhere, like if I went to Finland and I was living in Finland illegally and I was told to show up to court, I might be scared to show up to court because I might be sent back to, like, whatever. I don't know what that motivation is, but I can tell you that person who is doesn't know English, has not tried to assimilate whatsoever into the United States, has skipped multiple court dates, is living in the shadows, versus my friend who has tried to do things the right way. Those two people are not the same. There are going to be conservatives who disagree with me, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But I'm just trying to say, these guys, this lady who is purposefully skipping court dates, all of that stuff, they are the ones bringing down the situation and making it much harder for things to fix for my friend. And I'm just so frustrated about that. This should not be the president of the United States. Donald Trump should not have to be doing this. I was having lunch with someone, and we were talking about this very thing today.
You said this should not be did you mean precedent? Or
no, the president of the United States should not have to be solving this problem. Congress should have solved this problem long freaking time ago. Yeah. And you could have solved it. You could have solved it either way. We talked about.
Look, here's
I know I'm being naive,
Paul,
but I'm just trying to say what should have been.
I'm not saying, yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, the reason that didn't happen is because, you've got the Republican donor class that wanted the cheap labor.
Yeah.
You've got the Democrats that want the new permanent underclass and voting base. So the uniparty here is very much at play. I mean, this has been a proxy war that our own leaders have waged against the American people via the Mexican drug cartels and the smuggling in the southern border, and then also just, obviously, people that want to live in America because their third world countries are terrible, right?
Right.
So, our leaders have sold us out. That's why we have this problem. Yeah. I mean, that's the truth.
Let's go with this. Let's back up to 2008 when Barack Obama was elected president. You know this. But most people may not remember back because it's been almost 20 years ago, right, that he was elected for the first time, right? It's getting kind of close to that.
Yeah. Wow, I feel
Isn't it getting crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was elected. I believe that there were 60 Democrat senators at that point. Like, he had the super majority.
Yeah.
Right? He had the they could override the filibuster. So he had total control. Could have absolutely solved every immigrant, and he was known as the deporter in chief. He deported more illegal immigrants than Donald Trump did, than Joe Biden did, any of that. And so he was known as the deporter in chief, and he had a super majority. He could have fixed this immigration problem. It should not take 10 years to become a citizen of the United States. It also should be that people like this shouldn't be allowed into the country, and if they are allowed to the country and they're not committing crimes, it should not take 10 years. They should not jump people who are already in line, but we've got to first fix that back docket.
Well, this is why, my personal opinion on, obviously I know, the situation you described, but just in terms of any immigration, illegal or illegal, at this point, I'm like, shut it down for, indefinitely.
Cooling off period.
Until we can figure out what exactly is going on. I mean, the truth of the matter is we don't actually know how many people are here.
Well,
we don't really know exactly what they're doing. We don't know their costs on our infrastructure, on our entitlement programs, and our unfunded liabilities and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, you can also make an argument, as much as it was fun to watch the Mayor Eric Adams get a dose of realism when when Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis were busing these people into their cities as kind of like a, hey, well, let's see how you like it. As much as it was fun to watch them own the libs, the fact of the matter is they're busing these people further in our country where they're going to establish families and put down roots.
That's true. Yeah, and you're sending them to liberal cities that are not going to keep track of them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Here's what I want to say to you. I'm going to say that there are going to be conservatives. They're going to be in our comments, and they're going to say, "Nope, if you're here illegally, get out.
Got to go. Yeah,
got to go."
No, I
I'm like,
that.
we got a logistical problem there, buddy. We got a logistical problem here because number one, they're living in the shadows for a reason because they don't want to be shipped back to a country that they've not lived in 40 years. In some cases, can we come up with some sort of mechanism? If you have been here for a certain amount of time, you have not committed a crime, you have a job where you're paying taxes, you are you have assimilated in some way, like meaning you speak English. If you've lived here for 40 years and you can't speak English, okay, I don't know another language, but I also am not living in a country. Like if I were to move to Italy, I probably need to learn Italian.
Yes.
Okay? And if I lived in Italy for 40 years and didn't know Italian, that would be my fault.
Right.
Right? Okay. So you've got these people who have not committed crimes other than coming into the country illegally. Okay, I get it. It's a civil crime or whatever you want to call it. It's a crime. They are paying taxes, right? They're working in a company where their money, whatever. Give them some opportunity to come out of the shadows. Hillary Clinton said it best when she was running for 2008. In 2008, I'm going to give credit to Hillary Clinton. I liked her plan. Come out of the shadows, pay a fine for, coming into the country or whatever it is. Honestly, if you've been paying taxes the whole time, don't even pay a fine. But if you've not been paying taxes, say you're working at a cash-only job because you don't want to pay taxes or whatever, pay some kind of fine, show that you have not had any sort of criminal record, that you have somewhat assimilated into this country, and then let's talk about a path to citizenship. I am in the minority, I get, on some of those conservatives that want to draw that hard line. But you want to tell me that we're gonna round up as many as 30, could be 40, 50 million people living in this country? Who the hell knows at this point, Paul?
Well, the thing, I understand what you're saying. I will say what's interesting. You didn't used to be in the minority on this issue on the right. The idea of mass deportations used to be something that people thought logistically was impossible, and they just were. The polling showed that people were against it, and now I think people are more receptive to mass deportations.
Well,
you know what I mean?
We were bleeding like a sieve or whatever.
And by the way, you can't. And honestly, to your point, I will say this: like if that is what you think is appropriate moving forward, some pathway for nonviolent illegals, you will never ever get it unless that border is totally 100% locked down.
Almost like it is now,
right.
where you have zero people coming across the border.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so for if you wanted the political will to even get that done, that's got to be secure, and you've also got to have mechanisms to where, like a new administration can't open it back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be a permanent solution.
I don't know when that happens or what's going to happen with it. But
I get it that people want to come into this country. If you look at the conditions in, say, Guatemala, whatever, like you can understand why somebody would want to come to the United States, but it needs to be someone who loves the United States, wants to assimilate to the United States, who wants to be a contributing member to the United States, and who is also not a criminal.
Yeah,
I think the majority of people would get behind that. Okay, I also think that what's happened here is that so many people were led into this country over the last 4 years that the current administration is having to take a much harder line than they did even the first 4 years that he was president.
Yeah, and
right?
and honestly, I mean, that's exactly what he campaigned on doing, too,
Yeah.
is what we're seeing. And anyway, but the point of this story was, and I appreciate the perspective, but the point of the story was just that the liberals are going to take anything that could be perceived as through basically a feminine lens. Let's be honest.
Right.
So I can't believe we're actually enforcing the law, and yet the guy turned it out to be a sexual predator.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's just
yeah.
it's insane.
So the bottom line here is that you need to do a little bit of research on somebody, even Jessica Tarloff.
Yeah, Tarloff. I mispronounced her name.
Yeah, so Jessica Tarloff, works for Fox. I don't think that she really has any other job. I don't think that she has any, and she's the token liberal on Outnumbered. And to her credit, she sits there every show and gets hammered.
Yeah.
Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld hammer her every day,
I know.
on that show. And, she takes it. I
Yeah,
mean, she's pretty good.
Right now, I mean, this show is broadcasting live on X American News while the 5. So if you're watching this show, thanks for not watching the 5 and watching us. We appreciate it. This is basically the banner headline for the show today. Virginia teens suspended for questioning transgender student about being in the boys' locker room. Now, this is maddening, and this is in Loudoun County, Virginia. Loudoun County has had a...
You remember them.
They've had a string of they are as woke can be, right? They still are totally enslaved by them.
Loudoun County was the reason Glenn Youngkin was elected.
Yes, because
Virginia
of their and then you had Biden trying to FBI investigate school board or our mom showing up at the school board. We remember all of this. Here's a kind of a breakdown of what exactly happened and why these students were banned or suspended from school for basically speaking out. Listen to this.
A trans student is at the center of controversy after secretly filming boys in a school locker room. The student, who was born female, claimed to be the victim of sexual harassment, but footage from the incident showed only the boys' confusion.
Why is there a girl? I'm so uncomfortable with a girl. Nah, female, bro.
Outraged parents said the trans student had invaded their son's privacy.
This policy has created a system where schools focus more on managing optics than protecting any of our kids.
The school admitted that filming in locker rooms is against policy, but still claimed this incident didn't violate privacy.
Yeah, I don't think my son should be punished for expressing his First Amendment right and being able to ask questions.
Instead of launching a proper investigation, school officials opened a harassment probe against the boys. At a fiery Loudoun County School Board meeting, more than 130 parents showed up demanding accountability. Some were left outside, despite empty seats. Even a local pastor called for protest. Now, the Virginia Attorney General is investigating the school. So who's the real victim? The student doing the filming or the boys who were filmed?
I mean, come on. You've got the student doing the film. You mean the trans person that's in the locker room and they're expressing disgust that there's a biological female in the locker room with them and they're all uncomfortable and then they're the ones that get suspended?
So what they're saying here is those boys were suspended.
Yeah,
right?
two Virginia teen students are being suspended after they were recorded on video questioning why a female student who identifies as a male was in the boys' locker room, and it was the trans person. Actually, the lady was was the one filming.
So the trans student was filming because she allegedly was like being harassed, but it was them calling her a girl. Well, she identifies as a male, so I'm not getting in this pronoun.
Well, yeah,
crap. I'm not getting in this.
But
crap.
there's the other whole aspect of this is she's filming.
Yes,
in a
which
boys'
is a violation.
Locker room.
Yes,
and they're the ones that get suspended.
Right. So she's filming, which is a violation. The boys said, "Why is there a girl in this locker room?" Which is free speech, and they were suspended.
Yes.
Okay. There is no rational person believes that these boys did anything wrong. And in fact, if the video confirms that the boys didn't do anything wrong, which is what we're seeing here in this video, this little snippet, then what are we even doing here?
I don't know. But see, this is the type of when
you have liberals on school boards.
I know, but it's like, and this is where I get it. Like the recourse is to run for office and replace these idiot school board members. But when they do stuff like this, I just wish there were more personal consequences than losing office. Like, I don't know what the solution is, but I honestly wish that somehow the school board members were liable for this type of injustice, for this type of, it's wicked. It's just, it's evil, man. And I wish there was some mechanism that parents had to actually go after these people legally and go after them personally for doing this. And again, I know that there's probably no real way to be able to do that. I'm just saying it's absolutely insane.
I wonder what the reaction would be, and I'm honestly asking this in earnest here. What would the reaction be if all these genders were reversed? So this was a biological male going into a female dressing room filming, and the girls are saying, "Why is there a boy in this bathroom?"
Probably would have been a little different. I don't know if the girls would have been suspended. What they don't like about that video is how these boys are being masculine in a locker room, and they're saying, "Man, why is there a girl in here? This is ridiculous." Let's listen to what they said again.
A trans student is at the center of controversy after secretly filming boys in a school locker room. The student, who was born female, claimed to be the victim of sexual harassment, but footage from the incident showed only the boys' confusion.
Why is there a girl? I'm so uncomfortable with a girl. Female, bro. Get out of here.
Outraged parents said that
I'm so uncomfortable that there's a girl. You're a female, bro. Get out of here.
Yeah. Paul, have you ever been in a male locker room?
I have.
I have as well. I'm going to tell you something. Ladies, you don't want to go into a male's locker room.
No, you do not.
There's different discussions that happen in there, just the same way that
the smell of musty football shoulder pads.
Yeah. Sweaty socks.
Just mixed with smell it. The nostrils, the BO. The BO that has been caked year after year after year from player after player after player that is absorbed into those football pads.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is a smell like I will never forget that smell.
You're so spot on. And here, let me ask you a question. Like if you go to the gym, so I'm a member of a local gym here. If women, when you walk around in your locker room of a gym, do you walk around just butt naked? I mean, stark naked, couldn't be more naked. The way God made you, okay? I've asked my wife this, and she says no, women don't do that, okay? Paul, have you ever been to the locker room of a gym?
Yeah, and I've noticed the men that actually do that are a lot of them are old.
They're always older,
so old.
Dudes will walk around and they'll have a conversation, schlong hanging out. They're talking to you, man. They're just like, yeah, man, where'd you work at today?
Yeah.
Like there's always this question, and they're not thinking anything about it. It's not sexual to them at all. They're just some dudes.
No, I can confirm this story because I do remember when I was little, I was thinking I was in the 3rd or 4th grade or something, and my uncle was refereeing a high school football game.
Yeah.
And my uncle lived out of town, but he was in town to referee this game. Mm-hmm. And and so me and my dad, like after the game's over, hey, let's go say hi. Let's go say hi to our uncle. And so we go in the locker room, and I was like, what is it's all, and it was like I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna wait for him outside.
My friend Clay tells a story about how he was taking a shower in there, and it was just these pool curtains. And if you're walking past the showers, calling there's like maybe 6 showers in a row here, and you're walking past them, you can't really tell. You can tell that showers are on, but you can't tell which ones, right? You might see some steam, but there's so much steam in there, you can't really tell which one's going. Okay. So he's like taking a shower. Obviously, he's totally naked. And this old man, opens up the shower curtain. He's like, oh, sorry, young man. Sorry about that. Whatever. And of course, I would have immediately pulled the shower curtain closed. But Clay says, the guy goes, so what's your name? He's having a conversation, and Paul's like, and Clay is like, I'm trying to soap up my junk here, like I'm trying to wash myself down, and this guy, and it's because they.
What's the interest on your mortgage?
Yeah.
What interest rate do you got?
He's like, you got any good deals going? Like, because it's no big deal to them. My whole point that I was building to it is let a biological female walk into that dressing room.
Yeah.
And you got this 75-year-old man, junk hanging out here, and things are changing. He's grabbing a towel pretty dang quick.
That's right.
It's a difference.
Yeah.
It's a difference.
Because men and women are different.
We are.
Yep.
And guys feel comfortable. They're going to say what they want to say. They're going to walk around, if you're older, stark naked in here. And I'm like, that's not what I do. But at the same time, like, I get it. It's a different time, you know? And so there's a difference there. These young guys, especially teenagers, really feel awkward, man. Their body is like, okay, a couple years ago, they didn't have hair in some places that they've got hair now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so all of a sudden, a biological female is coming around here, and they're saying that maybe not necessarily to rip on that girl, but to just say, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, and if there's any place that a men or women should feel,
it's a private space,
comfortable, should be in a public restroom or locker room for men or for women. Like that's obviously why we segregate it all. It's got like so weird. Go ahead.
My gym has a female only workout area because women want to feel comfortable. Okay. Men also want to feel comfortable, but we don't typically feel uncomfortable out there in the gym, on the gym floor.
Yeah.
We feel uncomfortable if a woman walks into our locker room. And I'll give you one last example. We can move on to this. There was a notice on my gym on the male locker room, the men's locker room, that said a female will be cleaning this locker room on Mondays and Wednesdays from such and such and such and such.
Right.
Okay? They put that notice because basically based off of what their staff availability was, they knew that a female could only and it would have been the same thing had a male been cleaning the female locker room. Right? Now we're a conservative state, like the stuff that happens in Virginia and California or whatever, it's just different, right? But I'm trying to tell you, like, even our gym recognized that a female in a male locker room was a big deal.
Right.
And they put a notice up there because, like, hey, guys, we don't have any other choice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's because we, still live in the Shire here in the great state of Arkansas.
Thank God.
All right, we're running out of time here, but I do want to bring up the Ukraine-Russia peace negotiation. J.D. Vance saying this about it.
It was like 1 a.m. Moscow time, and they had no anticipation. So we're actually in the east wing of the White House, and the president says, we've had a pretty good meeting. I'm going to go call Vladimir Putin and see what he says about it. And everybody's like, oh, you're going to call him next week? And he's like, no, what time is it in Moscow? Let's call him right now. And I think one of the things I've realized about President Trump's leadership is he cuts through the BS of some of these diplomatic protocols and just says, I'm going to get things done. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm going to talk to somebody. You had a lot of the Europeans who were saying, no, there needs to be proper, vetting, and the teams have to prepare the phone call and blah, 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 blah. And the president was like, no. I want to talk to the guy. I'm going to talk to the guy. And I think that kind of no holds barred, no BS diplomacy is part of the reason why we've made the progress we have. And we've made a lot of progress, Laura. Look, who knows what's going to happen? The president tells me this all the time. You can never say with certainty what the outcome in this situation is going to be. But we now have the Russians talking to the Ukrainians. They're talking details about what would be necessary on each side to stop the fighting.
All right, so I bring all this to say a few things. Since this interview, there's been some saber rattling. Russia, I believe, attacked a
are accused of being Russia defenders. We're not Russia defenders. We're also not saying Ukraine is innocent. We're not.
Well, no. I mean, look, this is what happens in war, and I honestly think that people like Lindsey Graham have blood on their hands more.
Oh, yeah.
More so. I mean, look, we've talked about NATO encroachment. We talked about all of that. We've talked. Western people. If we don't know what the Donbass region has been through since 2014.
Sure.
Zelensky and Ukraine has been shelling and
most people can't find that on the map.
No, right, exactly. But like, there's a reason that this all happened the way it did, and it's a culture that is so foreign from us, and we don't have a media that wants to be honest with us enough because it's all about Putin bad.
Sure.
And and he put Trump in office, and so we can justify it. But I mean, come on, Ukraine wouldn't have fought had we not paid them and funded them to fight a war they could never win. And that's what Donald Trump recently said. You know, he was basically saying, look, all Biden did was fund them so that they could defend themselves. He never gave them anything offensive. He's saying this, and it's a saber-rattling thing. And look, Donald Trump was very clear. He was the president of peace. I don't want boots on the ground in Ukraine, and I don't want the war to continue. And I don't, again, unless we want a world war, there's no way to defeat Russia unless we have a world war, and that will devolve into nuclear death. So and
that's our sons. That's our sons and daughters dying on the battlefield.
Right, and so the cards are what the cards are. And at this point, who cares who's to blame? The fact is, thousands of people are dead, and a bunch of hundreds of thousands of Russians have died as well. They just have so many more people, and but 1.8 million Ukrainians. You talk about a generation, and people like Lindsey Graham and the other warmongers. They all sent them there, knowing. And people talk about American imperialism. There's really no more arrogance of just let them keep the Russia narrative alive. We've got to beat Putin because he's the greatest threat. The whole thing is a bunch of baloney.
Yeah,
really.
And we have American soldiers deployed to that region. A lot of people don't know that, but we have American soldiers deployed there, and in Israel, in the Gaza Strip, we have American soldiers deployed. That I'm not talking about that were stationed there.
Yeah,
I'm talking about they were called up and sent there.
Yeah, and then they say it's like for supplies or training.
They always
or
say
something
that.
Like
they always say that. But it's not a war we want. It's not a war that we should get into.
Yep.
And it's not a war that anybody's going to say that you won. Like what's the outcome of it?
Well, that's what a lot of this. We got to go. We're over. But that's what a lot of this is.
Yeah.
Is really right now the way it is. If Putin keeps the Donbass regions, then it's gonna look like Putin won. And really, there's no way to end it at this point without that happening. Mm-hmm. And that's what people are trying to figure out how to not allow that narrative to be the case. But that's if you want to end it. That's the narrative. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have a stronger military force with more people, and you don't want World War III. That's the price.
There you go. And we don't have time to get into it today, but do some research off air. If you're watching this, just do some research. Why would Putin want the Donbass region? You're going to understand that there's no way that this ends without Putin getting it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It comes down to cards at this point. All right. Pray for peace. Pray that the bloodshed stops,
please,
in the Middle East as well as Ukraine and Russia and everywhere else. Folks, that's all the time that we have for this edition. Go to paultalkshow.substack.com if you want to become a paid subscriber to support what I'm doing here. I'll send you a copy of Left Wing Will and the Red Pill, the game that I wrote that laughs at the left's expense. It's a card game, 400 cards in the deck. I think you're really going to like it. What is today? Thursday. So, Rob, we're not doing a show tomorrow, so I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah, we'll be back on Monday.
Absolutely, folks. Be safe. Have a great weekend.